Hi there. Welcome back to Good News About the World Falling Apart. I'm Anand DeForest, and I wanted to share some good news with you. So, again, I invite you to check out my book. It's available online. You can get it in Audible, Kindle, paperback, or you can shoot me an email. Check out my website, and I'll be happy to send you one. And the full title is Good News About the World Falling Apart, the Third Turning of Human Consciousness. So again, as I mentioned in a previous episode, this is not our first rodeo. We've been in some bad jams. The first turning was our response to when we were hominids being basically the main course for big cats, lions and leopards. And that terror was a huge incentive to develop fire, which scares off all animals. And of course, you can't work safely with fire without language because it's just going to burn you up. It's not going to get going. So if you're curious about that, check out my previous episode. So the first turning was fire and language, and it really was the arrival of Homo Sapiens, one who knows, which is also what the word shaman means. So humans are shamans. That's just what we are. And we used our shamanic ability to develop fire and language. What could be more magical than that? I mean, these noises coming out of my mouth, they don't mean anything objectively. It's imagination that makes them mean something. And we can use language to heal each other, to terrify each other, to traumatize each other, to comfort each other. Language is so powerful. And here's what allows us to live in the Northern Hemisphere, right? It's what allowed us to leave Africa. What other animal, elephants, giraffes, gorillas, did they leave Africa? No, you need fire to live in northern latitudes. And that worked great for a couple 100,000 years until we began to bottleneck on the way off the continent into the wide world. And that led to agriculture, planting seeds, which enabled us to feed many more people in a much smaller area. It led very quickly to cities and writing and preoccupation with wealth, status, private property, the second turning. And that's what's coming to its end right now. With the primary motivators of wealth and status making everybody go, we're just running in circles chasing our tails. We need as different a way of doing things as fire and language were to the way most animals live, or the way agriculture and living in settled communities is different than what hunter-gatherers do. What's that going to be? And here I find a really helpful way to think about it is the chakras. You're probably familiar with the chakras, a concept developed in India by Vedic scholars. And it posits that there are 7 invisible energy centers, starting with the root chakra, right at our root, the base of our spine. And then there's the second chakra, which is sexuality and creativity. The third chakra, the hara, the dantian, our power point, our solar plexus. A heart chakra, unconditional love. The throat chakra, clear, intuitive, honest communication. The sixth chakra, the third eye, enabling us to see beneath the surface of things. And finally, the crown chakra, which connects us to all that is. And it's very similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're more comfortable with a Western psychological way of viewing it. But it's an evolutionary template. Now, of course, that's the full capacity of a fully evolved human. Take a look around you. Look at how you spend most of your time. Most of us spend most of our time in the first 3 chakras, right? Survival, sexuality, personal power. Think of the TV shows and movies you watch. Think of the news. Think of politics. Think of advertisements. Think of what you worry about most of the time or what most of the people you meet are worrying about. Survival, sexuality, personal power. And the heart chakra, we typically only enter into with very, very few people, within a very tiny circle, maybe our children, our partner, our closest friends. But generally, once you go out the door to work, you're operating only on the first 3 chakras. I remember seeing this great Gain Wilson cartoon. Remember him? And it's this set of stairs, kind of a winding staircase. And at the bottom is like a primitive ape-like troglodyte, and then there's a caveman, and then there's like a tribal person, and then there's a medieval person, and then there's a man in a suit, and then there's just steps. And one of the creatures behind the man in the suit is saying to him, I'm wondering when you're going to notice that there are a lot more steps. We are not the end of human evolution, or certainly not the end of the evolution of human consciousness. And the chakras are the best blueprint I know of what Homo sapiens is capable of. But the fact of the matter is, we've only been around 200,000 or 300,000 years, right? I mean, it's a long time if you're watching a YouTube video, but it's a heartbeat if you're talking about the evolution of a species. A fairly recent species like the white-tailed deer, they've been around 4 million years. Owls have been around 20 million years. Oak trees, maple trees, 60 million years. Blue-green algae, 1 billion years. We are very, very new. And maybe we're not done yet. As I like to say to my students, what if it takes 1 million years for a species to evolve, right? 1 million years or so. Think of cookies. You got to put them in the oven. Blueberry muffins take about 40 minutes to cook. So I whip up a nice batch of blueberry muffins, the template for blueberry muffins. I put them in the oven. And what if they've got 1 million years they're supposed to be in the oven, but I pull them out after 200,000 years? You want to do the math on that? We're taking blueberry muffins being pulled out of the oven after about 5 minutes. What do you get? Certainly not blueberry muffins is the way you or I have been taught to recognize them. You have glop. And look at where humans are right about now. I see a lot of glop. So it's easy to get discouraged. But the fact is, we have the capacity to go past survival, sexuality, and personal power being the main drivers. In fact, that's just barely getting going. That's barely walking upright. The heart chakra is the third turning. The heart chakra is the frontier. Unconditional love for everything outside us, because we recognize that really it is us. You know, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that. I mean, imagine if you could track the molecules in your body. You know the way the wildlife biologists track fish and bears with little homing beacons? Imagine if you could track the molecules in your body that way. Where do you think you've been? Where do you think you're going, right? They say that all the molecules in your body are completely exchanged after 7 or 8 years. I think the core of the bones stay with us a long time, but we're constantly being recycled. We're constantly turning into other things. We're constantly letting go of stuff that we thought was valuable, our food, releasing it. Where does it go? The plant kingdom, right? All our waste products, if we're doing sensible things with our poop, feeds plants. And again, we're only around for a heartbeat. 100 years from now, everybody watching this video will be dead. 100 years ago, none of you existed. 100 years is nothing in the big scheme of things, right? We are ephemeral creatures that just come from everything else and turn into everything else. Why can't we recognize that all those trees and cows and other people are as closely related to us, as necessary for creating us, as our mother and father? I mean, my mom and dad each gave me a cell. That was great. Those cells did amazing things. But I'm 70% water. Water, technically, is my closest relation. So why am I not caring for water the way I try to care for my children or my wife, right? I mean, the Standing Rock protests. Water is life. That was an opening of the fourth chakra. That was an opening of the heart. Applying unconditional love to things outside us. Now, so often people say, again, who's the biggest protagonist for unconditional love? Who's the name brand for unconditional love in the West? Jesus, right? He loved everybody, right? Even the beggars, even the lepers, even the people that crucified him. He said to forgive them. But how do we usually see Jesus? How is he usually portrayed? As crucified, as nailed up, tortured, and dying in the most horrible pain and humiliation that you can imagine. And really, what effect does that have on you? I mean, I remember as a kid, the first time I saw one of those, I leaned over to my mom and said, you could kill a guy like that, right? It's a horrible way to die. And it freaked me out when I first saw that image. And it functions like the warning image that we put on. You ever bought a pack of cigarettes lately and they got a picture of what a cancerous lung looks like? Or you buy a bucket of joint compound and they got a picture of this little toddler toppling into it and drowning, or a lawnmower and someone's foot's getting cut off. I mean, the primary image of unconditional love is the most terrifying warning sign that you could ever imagine, and very effective, because most of us know, don't open your heart to strangers, right? And yeah, stranger danger. You don't want to just open your heart to anyone. But too often, an open heart is seen as a sign of weakness. And that is the big mistake. As Nako Bear said, the Native American singer, do no harm, take no shit, right? Having an open heart does not mean I become your doormat. Having an open heart means, just like on the airplane, we're traveling with children, your beloved children, the oxygen disappears, the masks come down. who do you give the oxygen to first? I mean, when I was a little kid and I read that mom's going to get it before me, I thought that's kind of brutal. But it makes good sense, right? The first person you got to love is yourself. And that's really where Jesus' second commandment comes in. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Of course, it's not a commandment. I can no more be commanded to love another person than I can be ordered to enjoy the sound of country music or like Chinese food, right? I either do or I don't. That as, love thy neighbor as thyself, means in the same way as. I love my neighbor in the same way that I love myself. And if I really love myself, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me, right? It's just like with kids. They want all kinds of stuff. They'll eat you alive if you let them, right? If you do every single thing your kid demands, you'd never get a moment's sleep. You have to set healthy, firm limits. That's a huge part of love, is setting clear boundaries. It does not mean letting people stomp over you, but only by loving someone else as I love myself. Learning how to love myself really is the third turning. And then finding other people who get it, and I can open my heart to them. Just like I'm opening my heart to you. I've never even met you, right? But I'm opening my heart to you. I'm telling you what I really long for. I want to be safe. I want to be joyful. I want to be happy. And this is the problem, is the first three chakras aren't really helpful about that, because they all say survival, sex, personal power, more, right? And absolutely, if I'm starving to death, if someone's attacking me, if I don't have a house and I don't have heat, I'm screwed. It's just like Neem Karoli Baba used to say, an enlightened master. You cannot talk to a hungry man about God. Our basic needs must be met. Survival, sexuality, personal power, those have to be taken care of. The problem is, if we're only relying on those three chakras, they're only programmed to ask for more. And again, look at wealth. Have you ever met someone who just has enough money? Have you ever met a billionaire who has enough money, right? There's no off button. Look at the epidemic of obesity in our country. And yes, we can blame food, we can blame corporations, we can blame schools, but we also have to take responsibility. Now, I'm talking to you as a recovering addict and alcoholic. And yes, my traumatizing childhood was a huge contributor to my becoming an addict. But feeling that pain and that compassion for myself did not get me sober. I had to take a hard look at myself and find other people who could help me. 12-step is a beautiful example of the third turning, because here you have people who they don't know each other, and there's no charge for money. Anybody can come to a meeting, right? And people who were the most destructive peoples in their communities, if they stick with the program, wind up helping each other heal and become productive people. If it wasn't for my sponsors and other people in those meetings, I never gave them a dime. I never did anything for them, but they helped heal me. They helped inspire me to heal myself. And this is not just a rant about sobriety, it's a rant about the heart, opening the heart, germinating the heart seed. And I'll talk about that in another episode. Again, thanks so much for listening. Good news about the world falling apart. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit like, tell your friends, and check out some of the other episodes. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the flip side.